In the picturesque seaside town in the 1950s, we meet Alice and Matthew. Alice is a young, lively woman with a vivid imagination and a longing for adventure. Her blue eyes radiate passion and dreams, and as a talented artist, she nourishes her soul through painting. Matthew, on the other hand, is a calm writer with green eyes, whose words are a bridge between the past and the present. Their story unfolds during the summer of 1950 when the world was rebuilding itself after the war, and hope for a fresh start hung in the air. While taking a walk, Alice comes across a booth where Matthew stands, browsing through the works of artists. Their gazes meet for a brief moment, and they both feel that this encounter is more than just a random meeting. Time stands still, and their hearts beat faster, knowing that this meeting is momentous. Alice feels a mixture of excitement and unease, while Matthew feels curiosity. These are the first emotions and impressions that come alive in their hearts when their worlds collide. Their shared interests in art, literature, and travel strengthen the bond between Alice and Matthew. They attend concerts together, where they lose themselves in the dance and savor the music. Alice shares her artistic creations, and Matthew tells her stories that lie behind his literary works. During their moments and activities together, Alice and Matthew conceal their feelings, unsure if they are mutually attracted to each other. In their hearts, they wonder if the other person shares the same emotions and if they are important to them. Uncertainties and doubts abound, and they analyze every gesture, word, or glance from the other person in search of signs of love. Alice often wonders if Matthew appreciates her artistic creativity and passion for art. Does he feel the same excitement and inspiration when he experiences her artwork? Meanwhile, Matthew, although certain of his love for Alice, constantly wonders if his words and stories captivate her and affect her emotions as he desires. This uncertainty and the concealment of their feelings make every meeting, conversation, and shared activity increasingly significant for them. They search for subtle signs, gestures, and expressions that may indicate mutual interest and affection. During one of the encounters, under the pressure of social norms and expectations, Alice's family decides to arrange her engagement to another man deemed suitable according to their ideals. When Alice receives this news, her heart shatters into pieces. Matthew, aware of the situation, feels immense disappointment and pain. The distance between them becomes even more painful, and the separation grows bitter. Alice and Matthew now have to face an obstacle they did not anticipate. This event tests their love and loyalty. Everything they have built their relationship on is in jeopardy. In their hearts, a conflict arises between the desire to fulfill family expectations and the longing to be together. Their feelings remain unwavering, but finding a solution that satisfies all parties proves difficult. Despite the decision made by Alice's parents for her to marry another man, Alice and Matthew continue their secret meetings for a while. They meet in hiding, where they can enjoy moments together, knowing that everything happens under the veil of secrecy. Their love is so strong that they cannot give up on each other, despite the obstacles and societal expectations. However, their covert meetings cannot last forever, and secrets, like all secrets, eventually come to light. When the truth is revealed, the consequences become inevitable. Alice's parents are devastated and outraged that their will has been disregarded, and Alice's fiancé feels betrayed and humiliated. This event deeply hurts Alice as she realizes she has let down her family and broken the trust of the people she loves. The internal conflict she feels is unbearable, and the sense of guilt and sadness weigh heavily on her heart. Alice decides to make the difficult choice of never seeing Matthew again. For the sake of her family, and in an attempt to rectify her mistakes, Alice decides to end this clandestine romance. Memories of the moments spent with Matthew will always remain deeply embedded in her heart, but now she must gain control over her emotions and focus on repairing her relationships with her family. Alice, despite the long period of separation from Matthew and the profound feelings she carries within her, has made the decision to marry another man to please her family and fulfill societal expectations. When Matthew unexpectedly comes to her at night, confessing his love and revealing that he cannot live without her, Alice's heart breaks into pieces. The intoxicating night spent with Matthew reminds her of their deep connection and undeniable desire. However, Alice, torn apart and internally conflicted, feels bound by her commitments to her family and community. Although she indulged in fulfilling her deepest desires for one night, Alice resolves to stick to her previous decision and marry another man. Regret and sorrow linger in her heart, but for the sake of others, she chooses to sacrifice her own happiness. This is a painful moment for both of them as they part ways with hearts full of emotions and disappointment. Alice goes on to meet her future spouse, unaware that her decision not only hurts herself, but also wounds Matthew, who knew their love was undeniable. Alice, despite her internal pain, remains silent and doesn't respond to Matthew's words as he desperately tries to convince her to leave and start a life together somewhere where no one will judge them. Seeing that Alice hears him but doesn't give any response, Matthew decides to take drastic action. He decides to crash Alice's wedding, where she is supposed to marry another man. Without hesitation, determination in his eyes, Matthew enters the wedding venue and takes Alice away from the hands of her future spouse. He repeats to her that they can run away, that they can be together and live by their own rules. Alice is overwhelmed by a mix of emotions. She doesn't love the man she is supposed to marry. His pushy behavior and lack of respect for her boundaries have become a constant source of stress and discomfort. From the very beginning of their relationship, Alice noticed that he was insensitive to her needs and desires. He didn't respect her opinions and imposed his will, leading to a sense of confusion and limitation for Alice. His dominating demeanor and unhealthy control questioned her freedom and individuality. Moreover, he didn't respect Alice's physical and emotional comfort. His persistent attempts to get close to her in ways she didn't accept created an atmosphere of unwanted pressure and violated her boundaries. This mismatched sexual relationship only intensified her aversion and disgust. At the moment she sees Matthew at her own wedding, her heart breaks and tears stream from her eyes. All the longing and desire that accompanied her every day during their separation come to the surface. Deep in her soul, Alice knows that her true place is by Matthew's side. She feels that their love is undeniable and cannot be reconciled with compromises. Driven by emotions and desperation, she agrees to Matthew's proposal to run away together and start a new life. Alice and Matthew, filled with courage and a longing for freedom, decide to escape together and start anew, where no one will judge or restrict them. Their hearts beat strongly, and their eyes shine with hope for a better tomorrow. They venture into the unknown, holding hands, ready to face all obstacles. However, their escape is not easy. They immediately encounter financial challenges and difficulties. The lack of adequate financial resources makes it difficult to find suitable shelter and meet basic needs. But Alice and Matthew don't give up. They work hard, seeking employment and saving every penny to build their new life. Social rejection becomes another challenge they have to face. Some people don't understand their choices and try to hold them back. The family they left behind doesn't accept their decision, and strangers look at them with surprise and disapproval. It is painful, but Alice and Matthew realize that they must stay true to themselves and their desires, regardless of others' opinions. The longing for family and exhaustion also don't spare them on this journey. Sometimes, in the silence of the night, when the homesickness is strongest, tears flood their eyes. But they support each other and find strength to endure those difficult moments. Together, they discover the beauty of their new place and create memories that strengthen their bond. Legal and administrative hurdles often force them to face bureaucracy and unfamiliar regulations. Obtaining new documents, dealing with official matters, everything is time-consuming and frustrating. Professional difficulties also present them with new challenges. The job market is competitive, and the new environment and foreign culture require adjustment. But Alice and Matthew don't give up. They quickly realize that they need to leverage their talents and skills to find satisfying work. They strive for professional growth, acquiring new skills and gaining the trust of employers. As time passes, Alice and Matthew overcome further obstacles, strengthening their bond and mutual trust. Their love is stronger than all the difficulties they encounter. They know they are meant for each other, and only together can they achieve true happiness. After many hardships, Alice and Matthew finally find their perfect place. They settle permanently in a picturesque area, surrounded by the inspiring beauty of nature. Alice thrives as a talented painter, and Matthew continues his career as a writer. Both find professional fulfillment, deriving joy from creating and sharing their art with others. However, the tranquility of their lives is suddenly disrupted one day when Alice's former fiancé, filled with anger and a sense of betrayal, tracks her down. Enraged that Alice left him at the altar, he seeks revenge on Matthew for taking what he believed was his. Alice's former fiancé attacks Matthew, attempting to harm or even kill him. In this dangerous moment, Matthew defends his life and his love for Alice. He fights desperately and courageously to save himself and his beloved from the assailant's malicious intentions. Thanks to Matthew's determination and resourcefulness, he manages to fend off the attack and alert the appropriate authorities to the danger. Alice's former fiancé is apprehended by the police, and Alice and Matthew receive the necessary support and protection. The threatening letters that continued to arrive for Alice filled her with anxiety and terror. She wondered who could be behind these threats, especially now that it wasn't her former fiancé. She felt disoriented and vulnerable in the face of this mysterious attacker. Alice and Matthew took joint action to uncover the sender's identity and solve this puzzle. Together, they reported the case to the police, providing them with all the available information. The police initiated an investigation, trying to determine who could have ill intentions towards Alice. Meanwhile, Alice and Matthew tried to be cautious and protect each other. They increased their awareness of their surroundings, being vigilant of suspicious behavior or unknown individuals. They were willing to take any measures to ensure their safety and secure their new life. Time passed, and the investigation continued. As the investigation progressed, certain suspicions and clues emerged, pointing to a person who could be responsible for the threatening letters. Finally, after a long time and intense investigations, the police were able to uncover the identity of the attacker. It turned out to be Alice's father, who, in his irresponsibility and lack of understanding, thought that if Alice got scared, she would return home and abandon her plans with Matthew. The discovery that her own father was behind the threats was a shock for Alice and Matthew. They never expected someone so close to them to harm them in such a way. They were hurt, but at the same time, they felt deep sorrow and concern for Alice's father. After her father's arrest, Alice and Matthew had to confront a painful reality. They had to come to terms with the fact that their love and independence were met with misunderstanding and resistance from some of their loved ones. It was difficult, but they decided not to let hatred and anger prevail. Instead, they chose to act with love and empathy to help Alice's father understand their choices and find a common path to reconciliation. In the end, Alice's family finally accepted her new life and her relationship with Matthew. They realized that their love was genuine and true, and Alice and Matthew were meant for each other. Over time, the family gradually began to support them, expressing their support and acceptance. Alice and Matthew, filled with joy and love, decided to get married, officially sealing their commitment to each other and pledging love and faithfulness. It was a magical day, filled with smiles, tears of joy, and emotion. Not long after, another incredible event entered their lives. Little Emile was born. It was a day that marked a new chapter in Alice and Matthew's lives, bringing them even greater joy and a sense of fulfillment. Emile became a symbol of their love and fulfillment, filling their lives with boundless joy, laughter, and unconditional love. Now, as a happy family, Alice, Matthew, and Emile created their own beautiful and love-filled environment. They supported each other in the daily challenges of parenthood and cherished moments filled with joy, love, and mutual understanding. Though Alice, Matthew, and little Emile had to endure the hell of difficulties and adversities, they were unanimous that everything was worth what they had gone through. All the challenges they overcame strengthened their bond and made them even more determined to build shared happiness. Over the years, as they reminisced about the difficult moments, they realized that each obstacle was a lesson that made them stronger and more resilient. Through this experience, they learned to appreciate and nurture their love, as well as to value daily happiness and small joys. As parents, Alice and Matthew instilled in little Emile an important lesson: to always strive for his dreams. From a young age, they taught him that there were no limitations that could hold him back from achieving what he desired. Emile grew up in an atmosphere of love, support, and inspiration. His parents always encouraged him to fearlessly set his goals and pursue them with determination. They taught him that success didn't always come easily, but it was important not to give up and believe in his abilities. His parents also ensured that Emile had access to diverse fields and opportunities for growth. He engaged in various interests, exploring his talents and developing his skills. His parents were always there to support and motivate him along his path. With this support, Emile grew into a confident and ambitious young person. He knew that his parents believed in him and would always support him in pursuing his dreams. They were not just his parents, they were also his friends and mentors. Emile knew that the journey to achieving his dreams could be challenging and demanding, but he was certain that he wasn't alone. He had parents who were ready to support him every step of the way, giving him strength and faith in his own capabilities.